Hey guys, it's Cracking Godsman here, coming at you with another news video. So we got ourselves a bit of a follow-up to the last news cycle, where in the last bit, Bushiroad gave us some of the first real tidbits about Season 5 of Divinez. It went over the basic premise of Divinez, which is some sort of Silent Hill slash Persona 4, more Persona 4 after today's revelations. So that's the kind of context going into it. We also got the reveal of Kagetsu's cousin and the deck that she'll be playing, which is Belclair. And we also got the introduction of Phantom units with Phantom Magnolia and Phantom Zorka. Now today we're actually going to be getting even more of an extension into the context of what the story is going to be about here. So they delve a little bit more into the specific plotline, reveal a couple of new character bios to us, and also gives us a couple of surprise characters here that some people theorized might be a thing, and now Bushiroad has definitely confirmed that, yeah, they're going to be a thing. And with all that said, if you guys are looking forward to this news cycle and also more news videos like this, or even just anything regarding the Vanguard anime, then this is the channel you want to be at. So definitely subscribe and turn on notification bells so you don't miss out on another one of these uploads. With all that said, let's go ahead and get into it. I hope you enjoy. So starting off here, we got this lovely looking bit of promotional material here where you can see the stage where that mysterious guy who began the Paralactic Clash was sitting on. So this is some sort of header looking throne. As we can see here now from like a wide out view, they're kind of in this weird, I guess, floating islet or whatever. This is presumably inside the giant tower, so very otherworldly in nature, very cool. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't read kanji, but someone who did manage to show to us what this says. So the description reads here: Akira and the others, lost in the Phantasma, which for those of you who are Trails fans, this is like Sky the Third, are confronted by the Phantom Fighters. Only the special Mythish fighters chosen by the cards can oppose them. Phantom Fighters are a collective term for those who confront reality and fight to protect falsehoods. Mythish Fighters are a collective term for those who confront illusions and fight to protect truth. Either erase the illusion or replace it with truth. Take on this battle where existence itself is at stake. Well, if we wanted some supernatural, we definitely got it here, folks, and then some. So really this all-out brawl between two opposing sides here. The Mythish fighters, apparently they're not going to be fighting against each other. They are indeed going to be banding together as a unified force against a different type of enemy altogether, that being the Phantom Fighters. And this post here, as we scroll up here, what are those Phantom Fighters? Well, for those of you who thought that the alternate Phantom units of Magnolia and Zorka would come with an alternate Phantom version of Megami and Masanori, you are effing right. We've got ourselves some really shocking little reversals here for some fan favorite characters, maybe Megami a little less so. So you over here on the left, we've got Megami, who seems to be a bit more of an Ojo-sama. She's got drill hair and also just a bit more of a regal, kind of pampered look to her. Really nice fit, can I just say? I actually kind of prefer this outfit for her out of all the outfits she's had thus far. Maybe that's a bit of a hot take, but yeah, clearly she's definitely kind of leaned in more to her life of privilege, whereas the other Megami, the one that we're more accustomed to, is a bit more of a tomboy and rebel. Meanwhile, Masanori here is just full-blown scientist, dude. The guy just got the goggles on, but this time he's got the white coat fit, much like his avatar Zorga, and the dude just seems to kind of be chilling anyway. So I actually don't know how much of a difference we're going to see from the Masanori here. Now, as all of us who are, longtime anime watchers know, Masanori is definitely the embodiment of chaos itself. Whatever he does, he revels in humanity making very desire-tainted kind of choices, and he just loves to raise hell. So this Masanori here that we see before us might be a more cold and calculating kind of character who believes in logic and order above all else, which would kind of work well into his whole scientist motif, right? So as you can see here, they also have the accompanying flags here. Megami is a lyrical fighter, as she's a Phantom, and Masa is going to be on Brandgate. So we should be expecting this same treatment for Phantom Fighters of other nations. Now, one thing that they haven't revealed to us all is what other kind of like returning characters will become Phantom Fighters. They didn't give us any hints about that, so it's still really up in the air. Whether you want to say characters like Raika or Suo, or even go for a Hail Mary and say like Danji or Yu or something like that, right? All of them are more like viable candidates as far as Phantom characters are concern. But the one thing we do now know is that these right here, these sort of like alternate universe versus versions of the fighters, yeah, those are going to be our main bad guys. But now, in addition to that, we've got a couple of new characters taking the stage. One who is probably going to be a helpful character, and one who is definitely not going to be a helpful character. So let's start with the question mark here. So we've got ourselves Kurumi Ishikawa. Now, Kurumi here, I'm not sure how many of you guys recognize her, like just from the hair alone, but this is the gal in the hospital that, if you remember, right, Kagetsu's cousin, I think her name is like County or something. Her and Hikari were like watching the deluxe finals with Kurumi here. So Kurumi, very soft, expressive kind of girl, has a kind of a nice fit here, but basically she seems to be kind of more like elegant and put together, right? And this bio kind of supports that theory. So Kurumi Ishikawa, her voice actress is Ikumi Hasegawa. Now, Kagetsu Yakumo's cousin, so very much just like with the other character who runs Belle Claire, right? They, I guess they're all just kind of like one big happy family, although admittedly with her hair, it's very much the opposite. So I'm not quite sure where the genetics went with that one, but it's anime, so who freaking cares, right? Anyway, so she has a close twin sister who we know, we already met her in the last bio, and is calm and kind to everyone. While she was hospitalized, she became friends with Akina and Hikari. So the Hikari one, not a shocker there, but the fact that she's also friends with Akina is kind of an interesting thing, because I don't think we see him interact with her in any flashbacks. Correct me down in the comments if we do, but I don't think that was the case. So it's interesting that the bio just flat out confirms that for us, and I think the reason why it's confirming that for us is because it's trying to imply that she's probably a helpful character here. But, you know, as we know, right, with a lot of these stories, they want to bring in a character who seems like a friend, and they seem like very perfect, you know, kind of a Jane Doe kind of character here, but in reality they're sick and twisted and have this really big dark side that like results in a huge betrayal that no one could ever see coming, right? So they could always try to pull that on us. She could also actually be kind of like in favor of the Phantom Fighters. I could even see the possibility, and this is kind of like me throwing my hat in the ring, I don't think I've seen anyone make this theory thus far, so if you have in your own personal, trust me, I didn't take it from you, I just kind of thought of this myself. But that masked man that we see there in the Paralactic Clash stage right. So I get the sense that there's a slight possibility that that might actually be Kurumi. Don't hold me to it. It just seems to me like it's a possibility that that's kind of like where they're going with it. So as we know, right, based on the description down here, let me go ahead and get this picture out of the way, right? So they're talking about Phantom Fighters versus Mythish Fighters, right? So I personally believe that Kagetsu is sort of like the leader of the Mythish resistance, as it were, and they're going to fight against the Phantoms. So this Kurumi here, she might actually be the secret leader who is behind the mask. They're leading the Phantom Charge, and if that's the case, then you kind of have this clash between Kagetsu and Kurumi, and then the other girl, again, I forget her name. We've only recently met her, so I haven't remembered it yet, right? I'll commit it to memory later, especially when we watch her in the show. But the red-haired one, the other cousin, so she's going to be caught in the middle between those, right? So I can definitely see from a mile away that that might be a plot point that they're going for, to like have her teeter between good and bad here. Which side is she going to go for? She might even initially kind of like follow Kurumi, but then later on Kagetsu pulls her back or whatever, right? So there definitely seems to be some sort of like plot character tension that's like brewing with that, but we're not confirmed yet about whether or not Kurumi is going to be an ally or she is going to be a part of the Phantom Menace, pun intended. But we actually do know one character that is part of the Phantom Menace, and it's this guy right here, this bullish looking, totally not a Dragon Empire player. So this is Ryuka Fushimi. Now Ryuka Fushimi, as you can see here, definitely a really wicked looking design. Got the red ponytail, bro's looking mean as hell, pugnations, and he's got the cool sick dragon tattoo looking shirt right there. So yeah, he's got a pretty cool fit, all things considered. Again, totally doesn't scream Dragon Empire, not at all. No, never. So Ryuka Fushimi, so his his VA might actually be a bit of note to everyone here. So this is Nobuhiko Okamoto. That's Bakugo. If I remember right, that's Bakugo. So we actually got kind of My Hero coming back, and a really interesting fun fact about that, by the way. Jinky, his voice actor is the voice actor for Izuku Midoriya, aka Deku. So now we have both the Deku and Bakugo in Cardfight Vanguard. Now I don't know if Jinky's gonna ever like meet the guy at all, but if they do, that's gonna be a really funny interaction for the VAs and for any of us MHA fans. So his bio reads: a third-year high school student, so he's about to graduate, who excels in both academics and karate. way. So whip out the little SpongeBob meme right there. So yeah, this guy is like, he isn't just for show with his little, you know, sick ass like ambiance. You know, the bro looks like he wants to kick your butt, and allegedly he can kick your butt. So to protect the Phantasma as a phantom fighter, there it is. He shows intense hostility towards Akina and the others. So as opposed to the last one, right? You know, dear old Kurumi here, who's like, she became friends with Akina and Hikari, and he's like, intense hostility towards Akina and the others. So yeah, totally a bit of a difference. I mean, shoot, one's blue and one's red, right? So totally different. Now, we don't know what either of their nations are, like, whatsoever. Now, they're both holding Vanguard cards, as most of these characters want to do, right? But we don't know what nation they played. I don't know their Vanguard, nothing like that. They didn't even show a little teaser for the unit, so that's totally up to interpretation. Having said that, though, while she is definitely a bit of a mystery to me, I personally want to say Dark States, maybe? Maybe Keter Sanctuary, one of those two, either light or dark or whatever, just because I have that little final villain theory for her. So Dark States or Keter Sanctuary kind of like revolve around either end. I mean, Dragon Empire could have been a nice twist, but this guy's, just look at him, right? So as a lot of us know, now Anabe is going to be a lot more like relevant in season 5, we hope, because she's actually a chosen Mythish fighter. She received the Mythish card long ago, so that is confirmed. So I can see where this is a fantastic kind of opponent for her, right? You know, he's clearly eager for battle and super against Akina, and you know she's going to take that personally, right? So they might have a bit of a Dragon Empire showdown, and Varga is willing to take anyone in combat, including someone from his own nation. Hell, he'll probably revel the challenge. So I think Ryuga definitely could be a really good rival for her within the confines of this arc here. Aside from that, though, I don't really have much of a theory about this guy. I mean, his design's neat and all, and his description definitely gives us like a really clear picture of what he's supposed to be. He's a part of the Phantom side, the Phantom Menace, as I'm just going to keep calling it now. But that's it. That's basically all we know about him, right? So, honestly, not as excited for what this guy can bring on offer. I think the most hype thing about him is his voice actor, and I guess also kind of a cool opponent for now. But aside from that, I don't really have much else to say. So I'll leave it to you guys in the audience, all right? In the comment section below, let me know if you have any theories about Ryuka that I may not have been thinking about here. Because, I mean, who knows? Maybe there's a lot more to his character than meets the eye, and y'all might be on the ball with that one. But for me, I'm a lot more interested in Kurumi personally. So that's where it is with him, just Dragon Empire, man. Oh, and speaking of Dragon Empire, by the way, check out these reveals. So BT12, BT12 is confirmed to have the Brawler Legion. Big Bang, Knuckle Dragon, and Slash Dragon are coming to standard. Holy crap. Talk about like a left field reveal. No one saw this coming. Absolutely no one, unless you're like one of the like few crackhead theorists who thought that, oh yeah, it's definitely gonna be Brawler, right? And you know what? If you are one of those very few, congratulations, you got your day here. So Brawlers are coming back to standard. Now, they haven't explained literally anything about these cards, right? All we know is these are dropping in DZBTO8, right? I mean, DZBTO12. So this is gonna be the same set where the Skyride cards are gonna be coming out in, among other things. So what are my thoughts on this? So on one end, I'm a really big Narukami fan. Narukami has, especially like over the past like year or two, Narukami is kind of a top 3 clan for me. It's just under the likes of Shadow Paladin and Genesis, right? So Narus are my jam, dude. I'm really happy to see that Narukami is getting more. And another really big positive to this is that because these are legions, we can actually see another attempt at the D Legion mechanic, because Bravern did pretty good with it, but that's a collab, and it wasn't even that hot of a thing. It was just pretty good. And Daikaiser obviously was a flop. Very unfortunate. My heart goes out to you, different fine. I'm sorry, brother. But Daikaiser was a freaking flop, and he was not like at all a good progenitor, or you know, to make a pun, he was not a good Vanguard for the D Legion mechanics. So these guys definitely have the potential to do a lot better with it, right? For those who don't know, the Brawler gimmick was based around punching people. More particularly, it would when they attack as a legion, right? They would choose several of your opponent's rear circles and battle them in addition to the Vanguard. The original Big Bang Knuckle Dragon was just the opponent's front row, so it's a lot like Vermilion. But considering that Vermilion's already attacking like 2 circles as his choice, I can see where these guys are also just going to attack circles like as well, just so that they're not like limited by comparison. And Knuckle Buster was capable of attacking like circles in the back row, so I feel like by this point, it's fine just to give it to these guys as well. The power creep is allowed for it. But as for what they could do after the fact, now, the basic tactic of Brawlers was, Brawlers are supposed to hit a lot of times, both on the rear guards and if your opponent permits the Vanguard, so that a lot of your rear guards would have these re-procking auto skills when your Vanguard hits a unit, right? So like one example would be like a card that would get an extra 3k whenever one of like your opponent's units was hit by your Vanguard, right? So let's say you hit like 3 rear guards in the Vanguard, right? That's, if you hit all 4 of them, that's an extra 12,000 right there, because it procs 4 times, and that's where Brawlers really got to scale out of control. It was a pretty cool deck there. Not really meta defining for the most part, unless you played Vanguard 0, then they were a freaking menace in that one. But aside from that one niche format there, Brawlers have always been kind of like this sort of rogue tier behind the scenes kind of deck, which is just more of a fan favorite, and I do like seeing these guys back. However, I do have a couple of things to note about this that I'm a little dismayed by. So for one thing, these guys, because they're a D-Legion that's coming out, what we're probably not getting, unfortunately, is Vermilion support. Vermilion is the battlefield deck that we have right now in Vanguard. If you exclude Clarissa, which I know a lot of people are thinking like, hey, look, the deck that Clarissa is based off of is like finally here. Now Clarissa can finally get juniored away the same way that Flagberg got juniored out once Maelstrom like hit standard, right? So I know a lot of people are going to be thinking about that, but they are different nations, so at least it's a little bit different there. But still, not Vanquisher, Vermilion might get juniored out by these, so I'm not too great about that. What? I feel like if they wanted to bring back the D-Legion mechanic, right, and bring it into not just Dragon Empire, but Narukami, you could have just done Dragonikaiser Crimson. It's only 1 card, and people really like Vermilion anyway. They wanted to be good. So it's another example of Bushiroad kind of prioritizing new ride lines and just new Vanguards versus supporting some of the pre-existing ones that are kind of clinging on for dear life in the format. I mean, there's a couple here that just are basically not decks anymore, right? Like, when was the last time Flagberg got relevant support, you know? When was the last time Grand Fia felt like a good deck, even despite the retrain that he got recently? I mean, shoot, retrains don't even, like, do enough. Barrel Magnus and Eugene still both suck donkey balls, despite the fact that they got, like, relatively speaking, recent retrains. So those don't matter at all, right? So I just feel like Bushiroad is just overextending, and they're casting the net wide rather than casting the net deep, and it's a little unfortunate to see that here. But having said that, I'm still very hyped for these guys. Another thing, though, that I do want to mention is that these guys are going to be doing the D-Legion mechanic, right? So there is a lot of pressure on them to do it well, but I can also see the scenario where Bushiroad might not do it justice at all, right? Like envision this, right? So back in the day when you're like attacking the opponent's board or something, right? I actually had this little funny interaction with one of the people in the Discord where I'm like, all right, so check this out. Like it reads like this: at the end of the battle that this unit attacked 3 or more units, right? And then I put ellipses, and then some guy interjects saying, he completes it with ping the opponent 1 damage, and then and then my next message after that, you wanna know what it was? Ellipses, for each unit hit, stand one of your rear guards. Peak Bushy, right? And yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? You could do cool crap like what that guy thought I was leading with, but I suspect they might just do more restand rear, or just like get boatload of power, maybe stand Vanguard, you know, stuff like that, right? So it's kind of sad because yes, it's cool seeing these guys back, but this is still standard format at the end of the day, and standard format is very bankrupt creativity wise. So it's almost tragic in a way. So I hope that if Bushiroad has gotten the message by now that we don't really like this format very much, especially a lot of the veterans, that they'll actually do something a little bit more true to form for the deck without having to just rely on the same tired tactics of restand rear and get a drive, right? If that's what this deck does, it's going to be another wash, unfortunately. So this is their chance to do something different. This is their chance to make D-Legion cool and make a very interesting deck with the cool D-Legion mechanic, and also really bringing honor to a fan favorite cult classic kind of deck for the veterans, right? So that's the hope, but we're going to see if they'll do it well or not. So yeah, that's it for the Brawler side of things. And on a final note, I probably don't even need to include this bit, but they also just announced for Dear Days, they've got Set 7 releasing, so this is with Baseruk, Bavs, Artisaria, and Sephiroth, among others. And they also got good old Kagetsu coming in alongside our girl here. So I'm not going to lie, I haven't really been keeping up with Dear Days at all, so for those of you who are Dear Days fans, this is probably hype, relatively speaking. There's a lot of really cool decks coming out from this one, like Baseruk and Artisaria. Saria, and it's always cool to see Suzune, and like, because Suzune is like like maybe not necessarily a fan favorite compared to the likes of now, but people like Suzune generally speaking, and people have also grown on Kagetsu, so these are definitely like the two objectively right picks to bring in as like DLC characters, as playable characters. So yeah, you know what, good stuff there. So this is gonna be coming around on December 4th. So if you're a Dear Days 2 player, congratulations, you got some good news. Anyway, overall, pretty good anime reveals here. Now, I didn't actually see the post where it says this, but they have confirmed that we are going to be getting a little bit more info on December 16th, I want to say, like 14th, 16th, something like that. So in the middle of December, and that should be the final like anime info dump for us before the anime begins proper at the start of the year in January. So we're gonna hold out for one more news video on that one and see what else they want to give us as context before we dive into the big season here. Super looking forward to season 5, and I hope you guys are too. Once that next info dump happens, I'm gonna do the traditional bingo for everyone, do a bingo stream. So if you want to join for that bingo stream and kind of put in your 2 cents on what you think might happen in season 5, or rather what you would want to happen potentially, yeah, definitely join that stream. Keep a lookout for it, right? So around the middle of December, I'm gonna be doing bingo for that, so look forward to it. Put the date down. And with all that said, if there's anything about these reveals that I haven't mentioned yet, or that you'd like to point out as like maybe something interesting, or maybe something that I may have gotten incorrect, let me know down in the comment section below. I read my comments, and I like to see what your guys' opinions and thoughts are, so I am going to be looking forward to that as always. And with all that said, if you did like this video, check out my other videos on this channel. Top 10s, discussions, fight nights, custom card reviews, and soon enough, we're going to be back on those anime reactions, and even more. So we got it all here, the whole shebang. If you like what you see, support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing, and turn on the notification bell for the next time I do upload one of these or any other videos. With all that said, take care, and God bless.